But let's move it on here, Eric. Last team of the division, the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, for me, I think they're going to win the division, but let me say this and let me preface this with everybody. Now, Eric thinks that the Reds are going to surprise some people and win the division, and Eric is always right when it comes to baseball predictions. So I still think St. Louis is going to be good. I think they'll make the playoffs. And I'm looking at kind of what we have in the almanac. We have Flaherty, Goldschmidt, DeJong, Edman, Gallegos, Mikolas. How do you pronounce it? Because I've been working in Greece for so long that I see that and I see Mikolas. But I don't think that's how they pronounce it, right?
I believe it's Michaelis.
Mikolas.
I believe. I could be wrong.
Anyway, so I apologize. It's I work out of Europe and I work for a Greek company, and so when I see this, I think it's Mikolas. My bad. But anyway, yeah. Just a reminder for the YouTube crowd that picks this up fresh. Eric and I write the Fantasy Baseball Almanac and Draft Guide. Eric is the brains behind the baseball stuff at Functional Sportsaholic and what we do. You can access that in the link below. Why are we better than everybody else? Well, we tier and we put extra strategy behind winning draft day. It's all the guide is all about winning draft day. And then on top of that, yes, we give you the information, all that stuff that you like. But on top of that, inside that draft, we give you access to me and Eric. Eric's brain is more valuable than mine when it comes to baseball, but we give you access to Eric all season long if you want advice on trades, if you want a sounding board. Eric and I are both there for you, and you get that. That's a free service. If you buy the magazine, you get it year-long. Everybody else makes you pay for that. We don't make you sign up for a membership or anything like that. You buy the book, you give us the promo code, you get it. So there's the little pitch. But let's get into the Cardinals, Eric, and hitters. Goldschmidt's, I think, the gold standard on this team, but a lot to like. Tell me about the hitters.
They were. I think they took a step back offensively as well. They lost Ozuna. I can proudly say he's in Atlanta now. But Wong is okay. A lot of his value comes from defense. He's a good hitter. He's not a great hitter. DeYoung is a very good option. It's just at a deep position, so he's kind of somebody you kind of add more in late in the draft as a utility. Carpenter, you just don't know what the hell you're going to get from him this year after what he did last year. I do like Edman quite a bit. I think there's value in his versatility, value in his bat.
Right.
I see him as a guy you're going to be targeting.
Yeah, as people know, so our league, Eric and I participate in a league. I took over a really, really bad team last year, and we have just the nature of our rules. Our league tends to load up on pitchers, which is kind of the bias of our book. Honestly, we like our pitchers, and we have a short bench usually for offensive players, which means I like to have one utility player as a bench guy, so that if there's an injury or something, like I can withstand that. So Edmund is a guy. You were completely right, Eric. We have him as a tier 5 guy. So when everything's getting thin, who do I take? I take the guy that can play multiple positions. So yes, he is definitely high on my radar.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of that, I just I don't see a ton that scares me. There's no one behind Goldschmidt, which I think is going to cause him to take a slight step back offensively.
Yeah.
I think their chances at the playoffs hinge on their rotation, because the offense, as stands right now, really isn't there.
You see,
not.
And speaking of the rotation, I think I like the rotation top to bottom a little bit more than you do. Obviously, we both agree that Flaherty's good, really good, and thankfully I have him on my team. To Eric's chagrin, he noticed that he was waived in my league, and he's like, "Hey, Flaherty was just waived. I don't have room for him. You might want to check the waivers." So it's like, hell yeah. Because I hadn't logged in, I was going to miss out on him. So I'm pumped that I got him, and now Eric is pissed because he's trying to trade for him, and I don't think I'm going to give him up. But we'll see what we can work out. I'm not in negotiation mode yet. Yeah. So Flaherty's good. I like who they have. Flaherty is a tier 2 pitcher for us, but still a very high draft pick. But then you have a lot of these guys at tier 5. I might move Michaelis up to number 4, tier 4. But tell me about the what they have behind Flaherty and what you think.
Michaelis was really, really good in 2018 and just average last year. He really kind of came back down to earth. It could have had a lot to do with the home run ball as well, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan there. Again, I like him as a later round option, possibly mid round, depending on where our pitching is going, but I wouldn't invest a high draft pick in him. Dakota Hudson, I think, is probably going to end up flipping with him and being their number 2. I like him a little more, and I'd probably take Hudson, again, maybe in the mid rounds. I think there's more to him than we saw last year. He just got to get a little more consistent.
Yeah. And those guys, Eric, we have ranked, I'm looking at the rankings now, we have ranked 2 spots away from each other. So there's only one person in between the two. So I can see that your similarity, and you might even up him in the next updates. Another thing we do in the baseball guide, by the way, is we continuously update before the draft. So we're actually working already on our updates for the guide that was just published. Our most recent publication was February 2nd, I think. So yeah, we're working on updates, another shameless pitch for our book. But keep going, Eric.
Yeah. Outside of that, I just don't know that you know what you're going to get. They picked up Kwang Hyung Kim. I believe I'm saying that right. Out of the KBO. We don't know what you're going to get coming over from there. It's hard to say. So you could take a shot on him in late rounds. Can't hurt. But I wouldn't go reaching for him because he's not coming over with the fanfare of someone, like Darvish did or Tani or anything like that. Ponce de Leon, again, you don't really know a whole lot of what he's going to do. There's a Fountain of Youth joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to think of one. I couldn't bring one out.
I'm just not going to make it. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid rotation, I think, but outside of Flaherty and Hudson, I don't know that I'm drafting anybody personally. Michaelis is a good option in deeper leagues. For a later round pick as well. I guess I wouldn't shy away from him if he's there towards the end. Sure. But there's a lot of questions, I guess, in that rotation for me outside of Flaherty as well.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So Carlos Martinez comes back last year, 24 saves. Now, I drafted him to be a starting pitcher, but, he had the injury and all. He was in the bullpen. First of all, do you think he has a shot at the closer role? Secondly, if not, do you think he has a shot at being in the rotation? Do you think they're going to give him that chance this year?
I do. I think they'll probably give him the chance to kind of come in and compete for the starting rotation in spring, and it could go from there. I think he's better suited actually, I don't really want to say that either. It's kind of hard to say. He's a guy who has trouble controlling his emotions and has a tendency to kind of fly off the handle. I
need to get these guys some chill pills with all this emotion.
He kind of reminds me of, oh God, I'm drawing a blank here for the Cubs.
You talking about Chapman back in the day?
No, it was also Carlos a few years ago. I'm drawing a blank on the name for some reason.
Oh, Zambrano?
Yes, there you go.
Right.
Thank you. He kind of reminds me with that, and it got the better of him. And I think Martinez is kind of in that same path unless he, I don't know, gets himself some edibles that Major League Baseball allows or something.
The MLB Big League Chew edibles, right? The green stuff. Right.
He just, I mean, he's too volatile for me as a closer, really to really count on. And same thing as a starter.
Yeah. Okay.
He's so talented, but he scares me with,
Yeah, I hear you. Well, again, Cardinals a lot to like. I like them to win the division, but why don't you give me your high and low, the best case, worst case scenario for the Cardinals this year?
Best case is the division title. Right. To me, their only real competition would be the Reds. I think worst case scenario, their offense completely sputters and, Flaherty is the only guy pitching well, and they could end up, kind of, duking it out, in the bottom of the division outside of, obviously fifth place belongs to Pittsburgh, but they could, find themselves anywhere down from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
A lot of it's going to hinge on progress from guys like Hudson and Michaelis and, seeing positive results from their other pitchers.
Yep. Very good. So official prediction from Base by Llama, Eric Zimmerman, a.k.a. Baseball Llama. You think the Reds are going to win the division. You think the Cardinals have finished second. And I didn't quite hear, do you think they will get into the wild card, or do you think one of these other divisions are going to get the 2 wild card slots?
I don't. I think
wow.
I'd have to look it over, but
So these aren't the official certified predictions because that's going to come on another episode. I will say this. I think the Cardinals are going to win the division and be in the playoffs. But like I've been saying, Eric's better at this. He's traditionally pretty much spot on when he makes his official picks. It's just hard for me to imagine this team not making the playoffs in some capacity, but we'll see, man.
Yep. It should be an interesting season. I'm getting excited here.
Yeah, me too, me too. So, everybody, thanks for listening once again. The last shameless plug here. Check out Amazon.com, the Fantasy Baseball Almanac and Draft Guide. You can find it by searching for Fantasy Baseball Almanac. You can find it by searching for Functional Sportsaholic. You can find it by searching for Sean Ryan. You can find it by searching for Eric Zimmerman. You can also find it if you're watching on YouTube or picking this up on on our podcast in the show notes below. We'll put the link directly to it. Check it out. Eric, thank you for the time. Everybody, go out, make some bets. So remember, if you're looking for futures, according to Baseball Ilama, the Reds are a nice futures bet this year in the NL Central. Go out, make some bets, play some daily fantasy, play some fantasy, and get paid. Okay.